Hello, welcome to Block 3, Fractions and Percentages of Amounts. Lesson 2. I'll share my screen. So, in your previous lesson, you learned how to find fractions of a given amount. In this lesson, you're going to learn how to find the whole or another fraction when you're given a specific fraction. It's going to make sense as we go through this lesson. Please support our mission to educate the global population of children regardless of their economic circumstance. So, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so that when new videos are released, you'll be notified. Thank you. Before we start, I would like you to do the retrieval practice questions in 3 minutes. All right, assuming you've paused the video and you've answered the questions, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So for this one, you're told to work out 75 divided by 5, that's 15. If you do not know how to do this, you can go and watch our lesson again, which talks about where you will learn how to do short division or bus stop division method. Next, you asked to find 3/4 of 24. Of course, you should remember from our previous lesson how to find fraction of amount. So this one, remember, the quarter means how many parts you need to split this into, and the 3 means the quantity you require to take to express as a quantity out of 24. So 3/4, another way of thinking about it is 24 divided by 4 and then multiply by 3. Next one is 2/7 of 28. So it's 28 divided by 7, multiply by 2. And then half of a number is 12. What is the number? Okay, that's 24. Of course, we're going to discuss this concept a lot more for question 4. Let's do our new learning. For the first one, if you asked what's the same and what's different, what would you say? So thinking about this, looking at the model, what would you think is different and what's the same? Well, what's the same is that we have 75 in each of them, but what's different is that they represent different portions of the same bar model. So for this one, you see that this can be written as 3/5 of 75. So we know what the whole bar model is. Remember what I explained in our previous lesson, that for the bar model, the whole lot, the number of portions a particular diagram or a model is split into represents the denominator and the actual full amount. So, but the numerator is telling us how much of that we need. So that's what this represents. So to be able to do that, we need to find 3/5 of 75. But this one is different. We do not know what the amount that is represented by the whole bar model, which is split into 5 equal parts. So another way of looking at this question is you're being told what 3/5, what 3 parts of the whole part is, but you're required to use that information to find the whole lots of number of parts. So to do that is we have to find, for this one, that one is easy. So we know, okay, if 75 is represented by 5 parts, then to get what each part is worth, we just need to divide 75 by 5, which means each of these parts is equal to 15. Now that we know each part is equal to 15, it means 3 parts will be 15 times 3, which will be 45. But this one will use a different approach. We know that the 3 parts is represented by 75. So to know what each part is worth, we need to work out 75 divided by 3, which will give us 25. So once we know that each of them is 25, just by knowing what each of these is by dividing 75 by 3, of course, they are all equal. So these other parts should be 25. Now we can find what all of these boxes they are worth altogether. So we do that by multiplying 25 by 5. And that's 125. Here is another one. 3/4 of a number is 24. What is the number? So again, we do the same thing. We write it. This is what it means. You're being asked 3/4 of something you don't know is equal to 24. So remember what we said, the denominator represents the number of parts that you're going to split things into. So we need a bar model that has 4 parts. This question is telling us that 3 lots of this bar model is equal to 24. So when we represent it, it should look like that. But we do not know the whole lot. So this is what it should look like in the bar model. So now we'll divide 24 by 3 because we're told that 3 parts of these 4 is equal to 24. Now we know what each part is worth. And of course, we can now multiply. Once we know that each is 8, we can now find the whole lot by multiplying 8 by 4 because we have 4 parts altogether. And that gives us 32. Here is this one, 2/7. So this one is drawn for us, okay? So we're told 2 out of 7 parts is 28. So we know how to find this part. We'll do 28 divided by 2. Now, because we know they are all equal, so each of these parts is 14. Okay, we can now find the whole lot, which is the number represented here in this box. So that will be 14 times the number of parts, which is 7. So our number is 98. It's now time for you to practice what you've learned. So pause the video and answer questions 1 to 5. Okay, so pause the video first and answer questions 1 and 2 in 3 minutes. In fact, I'll give you 4 minutes. There's quite a few questions there for you to do. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered the questions, here are the answers. So here you're asked to complete the calculations. All right. So very quickly, you would see that for these calculations, 3/4 of 96 is 72. All right. Here you're being told that the whole lot is 96. So if 4 parts is equal to 96, so you're going to get what each part is worth is by dividing 96 by 4. Once you get that number, you know you multiply it by 3. Okay. So I hope you won't forget this. And then this one is, telling you how to find an amount when the fraction is given to you. Okay, you're finding the whole. This is what we refer to as finding the whole when you know a part of the whole. Okay, so this one, 1/5 of the number is 30. So it means to get the whole 5 parts, you just have to do 30 times 5. So it's 150. All right. So what is 2/5 of the number? And then you can just, deduce from there what the other parts will be. Pause the video and answer questions 3 and 4 in 3 minutes. All right, assuming you've paused the video and you've answered the questions, let's discuss the answers. So here, you're being told 3/4 of a number is 24. Complete the bar model. So we know 3/4 of the number, the quarter, the 4 means the number of total parts you have. We're being told that 3 lots out of that is 24. So that should be here. If we know that 3 parts represents 24, it means to get 1 part, we'll have to do 24 divided by 3. Now that we know that each part will be 8, we now multiply by 4 to get the whole lot. I just want to mention here that this concept is a very important concept. You're going to use it when you start to study ratios and how to solve ratio problems and even advanced ratio problems. So pay really close attention. Next, you're asked to complete the calculation. Of course, that's what it should look like. Here, you ask complete the sentences. Okay. 1/4 of a number is 8. The value of the whole number is 32. So you just require to complete these. Pause the video and answer question 5 in a minute. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered question 5, here are the answers. So here, Kim scores 4/5 of the marks on a test. Her teacher says you only needed 6 more marks to get full marks on the test. What was the total number of marks available? Total number of marks was 30. Okay, so how do we do this? So if Kim scores 4/5 of the marks on a test, so we need to draw our model. Okay, so 4/5, the fifth means we need 5 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So 4/5 of the marks on the test. So we don't know the whole lot there. And we're told 4/5. So 4 lots of that. Okay. And the teacher says, her teacher says she only needed, or she or he only needed 6 more marks to get full marks on the test. So what we're being told is that, okay, if she needed 6 more marks, so this is what is not, she doesn't have yet to get the full marks, then each of these has to be 6 as well. Remember, we always split the bar model into equal parts. So what that means is that the 5 lots of the 6 has to be 30. Okay? So I hope you understand that explanation. All right. Let's do some new learning. Sometimes you get given questions that may look this, complicated or difficult. Now, there are different ways you could use a bar model to do this, but by now, you're beginning to understand, okay, I think I get what's going on. Maybe I don't really need the bar model. So, but let's look at one way of doing it. So we're told that 3/4 of something we don't know is equal to this quantity. So by now we already know how to work out fraction of amount. So 4/5 of 45 means you divide 45 by 5, okay, which is 9. All right. And now 4 lots of that will be, so remember, when you do fraction of amount, you divide by the denominator and you multiply by the numerator. So 45 divided by 5 is 9. And then 9 times 4 is 36. So what this means is 3/4 of something we don't know is equal to 36. That's what it means. So using our approach, what it means is that if we were to now draw our bar model and say, okay, we know that, all right, 1, 2, 3, that's not unequal. I want to make sure that they are all drawn equal. So, okay, that looks a lot better. So 3/4, remember the denominator always tells us how many we have split things into. So 3/4 of the full amount, which we don't know, is equal to 36. So we don't know the full amount. That's what we're looking for. All right. But we're told 3/4 of that, which is 3 parts, is equal to 36. Now, if 3 parts is equal to 36, it means each part will be 36 divided by 3. So each part is 12. Okay? You get that? So if each part is 12, this part has to be 12 as well. Now, we have 4 bars, okay? 4 blocks in the bar model. So it means the whole lot, the quantity that should be here, has to be 12 times 4, which is 48. Okay? So look at the way we've reasoned to get to the solution. So now I'm going to show you the actual bar model representation of exactly what I've shown you here. But it's the same thing, okay? So I'll just show you the bar model representation of this solution. All right? So there are different ways to solve this problem, but I think you should know about, okay? So that's the representation, yeah? So 3/4 is equal to 4/5, and we already know what 4/5 of that is, which is 36. So if we were to extend this, that would be the whole lots that we don't know, the other parts. So we already know that that should be 9 each, 36, and it's equal to that part. So that should be 12, which gives us 48. It's now time for you to answer the other questions. So far you have learned how to work out fractions of amount. You've also learned how to find the missing whole when you know just a part of it. So for example, you're told 3/5 of a number is, for example, 10. What is the number? So that is what we mean by finding the whole when you know a part. And you also extended your learning to find another another amount of a given fraction when you already know that that amount is equal to the fraction of another amount. Okay, that's a mouthful. I hope you understood what I explained just now. Okay, pause the video and answer questions 6 and 7 in 3 minutes. All right. Assuming you've answered the questions, here are the answers. Okay. So here you're asked to fill in the missing numbers to make each statement correct. So 2/3 of that. So first you have to find that amount. Once you know what that is, then you can find that one. Okay. This is similar to the last example I did before you started practicing. This one, you already told that the amount is 54. So it has to be 6/6. This one, you already know what this amount is. So you do 560 divided by 7. And then whatever you get, you multiply it by 5. Now you have the amount that you have to equate to this one. All right. So let me do this one real quick. So 560. So first we find what this amount is. This one here. Is my pen not writing? Okay. I think I've got the rubber. Okay. So first you do 560 divided by 7. All right. That should be 80. And then 80 times 5 will be 400. So we know that this part is 400. So we're being told that 400 is equal to, so 4/5 of something we don't know, 4/5 of something we don't know is 400. All right. So what you, because that's what it is. So you say, okay, if 4/5 is 400, then to find out each part, I just need to do 400 divided by 4, which will give me 100, and then 100 times 5 will give me 500. So I hope you remember how we did the bar model, and it's the same approach we're going to use here. Okay. So here we're trying to work out 5/8 of something is equal to 3/5 of an amount. So the way to do this is so for this one, we're being asked fill in the missing numbers. So here you can have more than one answer. Okay, you can have more than one answer. So but we can do it in an algebraic way, but we're not going to do that now, not to get you confused. So it's about thinking of numbers that if you put in there, 5/8 of that number will be equal to 3/5 of that number. Okay. You can also use your bar model to represent the solution. Okay. All right. So here, find the input of the function machine. So again, for fifth of a number is 396. For ninth of a number is 396. And then you ask what you put in. Right. So it's the same approach using your bar model. I don't want these videos to be too long. It's the same approach using your bar model. You can represent the solution and then find that the input has to be 891. Okay. So so this one, just to make, so this is the same thing as 4/9 of something we don't know is equal to 396. And then you use the same approach we used before to solve the problem. All right. Pause the video and answer questions 8 and 9 in 3 minutes. All right. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 8 and 9, here are the answers. So here you ask, Ron is thinking of a number, and then he says 2/3 of my number is equal to a multiple of 3 and 5. All right. So then we can start to think of multiples of 3 and 5. Okay. One of the first that should come to mind is 15. So, and what number could Ron be thinking of? And then you start to try numbers 15, other multiples of 5, 30. Okay, multiples of 3 and 5, 45. Okay, so and then you can use it to work things out like that. Yeah. And then Esther has some money. So she saves £7.50 and then spends 3/5 of what is left. She now has £21. How much money did Esther have to start with? Okay, this one could be a bit challenging, but let's do it. So she saves, Esther has some money. She saves £7.50, okay, and then spends 3/5 of what is left. All right, so this is, so she now has £21. Okay, so this is a bit like saying, so she spends 3/5 of what she has left, okay? So 3/5 of what she has left. She saves £7.50. So this is what she saves. And then she spends 3/5 of what she has left. So it's a bit like saying, okay, let's draw a bar model. So if she has, all right, so 3/5 of what she has left. All right. So I don't want this video to be too long. So but the answer should be 60. So how much money did she start with? So I'll just explain from here going backwards. So if she has £60 and then she saves £7.50, so it's going to be 60 minus £7.50. So which means that's 50 there. We took one from here. So that should be, so that's 5. And then That's 9. And then that should be 8. Sorry, 9. That's 7. Yeah, sorry, 2. All right. So that should be 2, and then that should be 5. So 52, 5250. Okay. So she has 5250, and then she spends 3/5, of what is left. So we'll work out 3/5 of this amount, and then you will see that what she has left will now be 21 pounds. Okay. I don't want this video to be too long, so I don't want to spend too much time on that. Okay, question 10 and 11. So 5/12 of an expression is 6y, 60y. What is the expression? So again, you can use a bar model to do this real quickly. So you have 12 parts. 5/12 of that is 60y. So 5 lots of that is 60y. Okay, so it means each part is going to be 60y divided by 5, which is 12y. Okay, now remember, this denominator represents 12 equal parts. So it has to be 12y times 12, which will be 144y. Okay, all right. So let's move on to the answer very quickly, and you'll see that that's 144y. And then question 11, you were asked, Philip has written a linear sequence. He says that 5/6 of the second term in the sequence is 20, and that half of the fourth term is 17. Find the first 4 terms in the sequence. And then these are the first 4 terms. So Philip has written a linear sequence. He says that 5/6 of the second term in the sequence is 20. So 5/6 of the second term. So 5/6 of 24, is 20, because 24 divided by 6 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. And so one way to do it is you say, okay, if I were to draw my bar model, so let's ignore this one for now. So 5/6, remember, the denominator tells us how many parts there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 parts. So 5 lots of that. So 5/6 of the second term of the sequence is 20. So it means 5 lots gives us 20. So which means to get what each part is worth, we have to do 20 divided by 5, which is 4. Now, if 4 parts is, if each of the part is 4 and we have 6 parts altogether, then it has to be 6 times 4, which is 24. That's how we got this number here. Now, and then he says, and then half of the fourth term is 17. All right. So it's a linear sequence, which means, it's changing by the same amount every time. So next, we're told find the first 4 terms in the sequence. All right. So we know that half of the fourth term is 17. So we know that, okay, this has to be 34, because if half of this is 17, then that has to be 34. Now, we know it's a linear sequence, right? So we say, okay, what's the difference between 24 and 34? That's 10, right? And then if you remember, there was one of our lessons where we have to work out missing terms in a sequence. Now, when you think about it, if we have to make, so the interval, if we think about the interval between them, we have 2 intervals, and the value between this interval here, 24 and 34, is 10. Now, if we have to split the 10 between these two intervals, then that will mean this is 5 and that is 5. So we know that we're adding 5 every time. So which means to go back to this interval, we have to subtract 5. That's how we got 19 there. All right. So I hope you get that solution. And that brings us to the end of our lesson. So what we've learned so far is how to use a given fraction to find the whole and other fractions. Until next time, take really good care of yourself, and bye-bye.